4 alarms go off. 4 men check their phones. Rent is due. A direct debit has left, and the day has already started costing them money. Today's weather is heading towards 29 degrees. By the time they reach central London, the Central Line feels like a hairdryer, and everyone arrives at their offices, pretending they did not sweat through the commute. Each of them are earning different salaries. One earns £25,000, another earns £50,000, £100,000 and £130,000 a year. They live in the same city, face the same rising prices, and complain about the same delayed trains. But their salaries create completely different versions of everyday life. We are going to follow them through the everyday costs and choices that shape what life actually feels like in Britain in 2026. Because salary is not only about buying nicer things. It determines whether privacy feels normal or like a luxury, whether a problem is merely annoying or financially damaging, whether time, convenience, and peace of mind are things you can afford. This is what life looks like at every salary level in the UK. Let's start with where they go home. For an annual income of £25,000, he rents a room in a shared house in East Ham. Rooms cost around £730 to £900 a month, often including bills. He chooses one near the cheaper end because every extra £50 in rent has to come out of food, travel, or savings. He shares the kitchen, bathroom, and living room with 3 flatmates, while his bedroom becomes his office, wardrobe, and only private space. With monthly take-home pay of about £1,793, rent uses roughly 40% to 50% of his income. For an annual income of £50,000, he rents his own 1-bedroom flat in Croydon. Rent is around £1,260 a month before council tax and household bills. He gains his own kitchen, bathroom and washing machine, but every bill is now his responsibility. With monthly take-home pay of about £3,293, rent takes roughly 38% of his income. Living alone is possible, but it still comes with a very London-sized price tag. For an annual income of £100,000, he rents his own 1-bedroom flat in Islington. Rent is around £2,150 a month before bills. The flat may not be much larger, but the central location shortens his commute and gives him more control over his time. With monthly take-home pay of about £5,700, he is paying more in rent than the £25,000 earner takes home each month. But he is buying privacy, location, and convenience. For an annual income of £130,000, he rents his own 2-bedroom flat in Wandsworth. Rent is around £2,440 a month before bills. The 2nd bedroom becomes a home office, guest room, and storage space for exercise equipment that still believes in him. With monthly take-home pay of about £6,724, rent remains his largest expense, but far more money is left for savings, investments, and unexpected costs. Then there are food and groceries. At £25,000, he tries to keep his supermarket shop around £50 a week. He shops with a basket instead of a trolley, because it is harder to accidentally spend £100 with a basket. Breakfast is made at home and lunch is usually packed. If he forgets it, a £4 meal deal feels far safer than spending £10 or £12 near the office. Takeaways mean checking 3 apps, rejecting the delivery fee and eventually collecting it himself. A £4 to £5 coffee every workday could cost close to £100 a month, so he usually settles for the office machine, even if it tastes slightly hostile. Eating out is planned, so he checks the menu first and quietly hopes nobody suggests sharing plates. At £50,000, his weekly supermarket shop is usually around £60 to £80. He buys the brands he likes instead of whichever one is cheapest, and a £5 coffee or £12 lunch near the office is no longer a guilty purchase. Dinner out is more common, although a main course, drink and service can still quietly become a £40 to £50 evening. At an annual salary of £100,000, his weekly supermarket shop is around £90 to £120. Living in Islington, convenience becomes part of what he's paying for. Grocery deliveries, meal kits, and picking something up on the way home become normal. A £15 lunch or £50 dinner isn't unusual. The question is whether it was actually worth it. At £130,000, groceries usually cost £120 to £140 a week. Living in Wandsworth, he shops where he likes rather than where it's cheapest, often choosing premium supermarkets or ordering online because time is more valuable than saving a few pounds. Dinner out can easily cost £60 to £100 per person, and the biggest challenge is finding a table before finding the money. All four men need to eat. The difference is how much planning, cooking, and compromise are required before they do. And every one of those choices is shaped by the same thing: how much money appears on payday. At £25,000, around £1,800 a month after tax reaches his account. A broken phone or surprise bill can disrupt the entire month, and losing a shift is something he notices immediately. At £50,000, he receives roughly £3,300 a month after tax. There is more breathing room. An unexpected expense is annoying, but it no longer requires moving money between accounts like a small financial rescue operation. At £100,000, around £5,700 arrives each month. Everyday costs need less thought, although the pressure shifts towards maintaining the job and lifestyle that now depend on that salary. At £130,000, he receives about £6,700 a month after tax. That is only around £1,000 more than at £100,000, despite the headline salary being £30,000 higher. Above £100,000, the tax-free personal allowance gradually disappears, so each extra pound adds less to the pay slip than expected. The salary rises quickly. The amount reaching the bank takes a more leisurely approach. Then comes commuting, the daily reminder that getting to work is also somehow an expense. In 2026, a monthly travel card can easily cost anywhere starting from £200, depending on how far across London you travel. At £25,000, commuting from East Ham is carefully measured. He knows the price of every normal journey, takes the bus when time is cheaper than money, and treats a taxi home like a minor financial incident. At £50,000, travelling from Croydon costs more, but is easier to absorb. Delays remain irritating, they just no longer come with an immediate budget review. At £100,000, living in Islington means the tube is usually faster than driving. He may afford to buy a car, but between insurance, parking, fuel, and the possibility of paying several £100s a month for a space, at £130,000, a car is easier to justify in Wandsworth, especially for trips outside London. But driving into central London still means traffic, limited parking, and extra charges, so he usually takes the train and saves the car for journeys where it is actually useful. But at the end of the day, the Underground does not care what any of them earns. All four can still be trapped beneath a minor delays sign while watching 10 minutes quietly become 40. The real difference appears after they finally get home. Savings reveal what is left once the essentials have been paid for, but these are possibilities, not targets. At £25,000 while renting a room with flatmates in East Ham, saving £50 to £150 in a good month may be achievable. Even £100 can feel significant when rent, commuting and groceries have already claimed most of the pay slip. At £50,000, while renting alone in Croydon, he might put away £300 to £700 a month, depending on bills, debts, and how often one drink after work becomes dinner. At £100,000, despite paying around £2,150 for an Islington flat, he could potentially save or invest £1,000 to £1,500 a month and contribute more to his pension. The money is available, provided his lifestyle has not received every pay rise first. At £130,000, renting a 2-bedroom flat in Wandsworth still leaves greater scope for pensions, ISAs and other investments. He might put away £1,500 or more in some months, although a car, frequent meals out or generous spending can reduce that quickly. The salaries are different, but what really changes is how much control each man has. Control over where he lives, how he spends his time, and whether an unexpected cost ruins the day, the month, or something much bigger. Different homes, different pay slips, different levels of comfort, but all are still trying to make everyday life feel manageable. Thanks for watching.